North Wilkesboro is shaping up to be one of the biggest weekends of the entire NASCAR season, and there are two massive storylines colliding at exactly the same time. One is a decision that has split the entire garage right down the middle. The other is about a driver who suddenly finds himself carrying more weight on his shoulders than at any other point in his career. Both of these stories are going to define how this race weekend is remembered, and they're doing it for completely different reasons. This track already carried enormous emotional weight on its own. It's returning as a points-paying Cup Series race after decades away, and that alone would have been enough to make this an unforgettable weekend. But now there's an entirely new layer of tension hanging over everything, and it's going to make every restart, every bump, and every fight for position feel like it matters just a little bit more. Just days before the Window World 450, NASCAR made an announcement that changed the entire conversation before a single lap of real competition had even been run. Every Cup Series team will now race with a revised bumper configuration on the next-gen car. On paper, it sounds like a minor technical tweak. In reality, it could completely change how drivers race one another, especially at a short track where contact has always been part of the sport's DNA. Under the new rules, teams have to remove sections of bumper foam and alter the structure of the bumper itself. That means the front and rear of these cars will absorb far less energy on impact. Those big, forgiving hits to the back bumper that drivers have leaned on all season long simply won't work the same way anymore. NASCAR's intention here is pretty transparent. Officials want to cut down on the slam-and-go style of racing that has become far too common with this car. That's the move where a driver just drives straight into the back of the car in front, shoves them out of the groove, and drives away with almost no penalty for it. Fans have been vocal for a long time about how easy it's become to make a pass using the bumper instead of actually working a car down over multiple laps. NASCAR is clearly hoping this change pushes drivers back toward precision and patience. Naturally, not everyone in the garage sees it the same way. Denny Hamlin has been one of the loudest supporters of a change like this. He spent a long time criticizing how the next-gen car has performed on short tracks, arguing that it's become far too simple to shove a competitor out of the way without paying any real price for it. In Hamlin's eyes, short-track racing should reward the drivers who can outbrake, outposition, and simply outthink everyone else on the track, not the ones who can hit the hardest. He believes this change could finally bring back the kind of gritty, calculated short-track battles that longtime fans have been begging to see again. But Bubba Wallace has taken a very different stance. He's questioned whether making a change this significant in the middle of a season is really the right call. His argument is simple. Improving the racing product matters, but so does stability. Teams spend months building setups, gathering data, and shaping their entire approach around one specific rules package. When that package suddenly shifts, especially with the playoffs closing in, everybody is forced to adapt on the fly, with very little time to prepare. Reports out of the garage suggest plenty of crew members share that same concern. Teams are already deep into their season, every point matters more than ever, and introducing a major technical change now adds a variable nobody fully saw coming. One person inside a team summed it up bluntly, saying this essentially changes the entire way you have to race. Drivers have spent an entire season learning exactly where the limits of these cars are, and now those limits have shifted underneath them. That's really the heart of the debate. It's not so much about whether the new bumper itself is good or bad. It's about whether this was the right moment to roll it out. Supporters believe NASCAR is finally fixing one of the most common complaints about this entire car generation, and that races like this one could become more authentic, rewarding drivers who set passes up carefully instead of just leaning on the chrome horn. Critics worry NASCAR is essentially running a live experiment during one of the most crucial stretches of the year, and that any team that figures out the new package faster than the rest could gain an advantage that has nothing to do with which car was actually faster under the old rules. Now shifting to the second major storyline heading into this weekend. This race means something entirely different for the driver of the number 23 Toyota. The expectations surrounding him have never felt heavier, and it feels like every single week the stakes keep climbing. Wallace is walking into this event under serious pressure, and it isn't because anyone questions his talent. It's because the conversation about him has evolved. A few years ago, the question was simply whether he could win a Cup Series race at all. He answered that. Now the question is far tougher. Can he become a genuinely consistent contender against the best drivers in the sport? Can he fight for wins and factor into the championship picture year after year, not just occasionally? Those expectations exist because of the organization he now drives for. It wasn't built to simply round out the field or collect solid finishes. It was built to become one of the elite teams in the sport, backed by Toyota, with ownership that includes an NBA legend and a proven Cup Series champion. The goal from day one has been championships, plain and simple. Inside an organization built with that kind of ambition, strong runs are nice, but wins are the expectation. That naturally puts Wallace under a brighter spotlight than most. Since joining this team, Wallace has had some genuinely big moments, including a breakthrough Cup Series win, and he's continued to grow one of the largest fan followings in the entire sport. But success tends to raise the bar even higher. Plenty of analysts and fans now want to see him challenge for wins consistently across a full season, rather than showing flashes of speed here and there. That's exactly why this weekend carries so much significance. It's a race that rewards patience, sharp racecraft, smart decisions, and knowing precisely when to push and when to hold back. And this year, there's an added wrinkle. Because of the new bumper rules, every driver on that track will have to rethink how they race. Instead of leaning on heavy contact to make a pass, they'll need to be far more calculated about it. For Wallace, that's both an opportunity and a real test. If he adjusts to the new rules faster than everyone else and delivers the kind of result his team expects, the entire narrative around him could shift almost instantly. Instead of people wondering if he's ready to take the next step, they'd be talking about how he's becoming exactly the driver his team believed he could be. But if the race doesn't go his way, those same questions aren't going to fade. If anything, they'll get louder. That's simply the reality of driving for a team with this level of ambition. Every missed chance gets picked apart. Every mistake becomes a talking point. Every disappointing finish sparks another round of debate. Wallace understands that as well as anyone, and pressure is nothing new to him. He's rarely stayed out of the spotlight for long throughout his career, largely because he's never been afraid to speak his mind. That honesty has made him one of the most talked about drivers in the garage, and it also means criticism tends to hit louder when things don't go his way. But if there's one thing he's proven again and again, it's resilience. He's pushed through doubts about whether he belonged at this level before, he's answered criticism before, and now he has another chance to do exactly that on one of the most historic stages the sport has to offer. This weekend isn't just about points. It's about momentum, and about proving he can deliver when the pressure is at its absolute highest. A strong run here could remind everyone exactly why his team invested in him in the first place. A rough weekend, on the other hand, would almost certainly keep those questions following him right into the playoffs. Between a controversial new bumper rule shaking up the entire garage and one of the sport's most talked about drivers facing the biggest spotlight of his career, North WILKESBORO has every ingredient needed for a weekend that people will be discussing for a long time to come. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.